I've seen that Diddy has his sentence done yesterday, which is 50 months. I saw it from a um, BBC clip online. I'm trying to avoid BBC as much as I can because I really don't like them any longer. But I found it interesting how they said it because yes, he was sentenced to 50 months for the two charges which don't make any sense to me. The idea that taking prostitutes from one state to another can get you a 4-year prison sentence. I don't understand why it's a crime to take to take people to a different state for prostitution. I don't understand why that is a crime. I don't understand what's wrong with that. I don't understand why you think that there's anything wrong with that. None of that makes any sense to me. So I don't understand your systems or your way of judging things or your way of trying to put people in prison. I do not understand it. But they also worded it in a different way because they said that Combs used his money, power and influence to try and blackmail or convince or force or coerce lots of people into doing things that they didn't want to do based on his kind of power, influence, but also partly lies. That makes sense. Now that makes sense. I don't understand why it's illegal to take people from one state to another if they want to. If they do prostitution in one state, or if they offer sex for money in one state, and Combs says, you can come on my plane and you can offer something in a different state. I don't see why that's a crime. I don't see why and because there were so many people, like 100 people coming forward with different claims, most of them sounding just completely absurd and ridiculous. Because of all this, I never knew what to make of this because it was just like, is this just a joke or something? Like I don't know. I can't say what's going on because I haven't believed any of the stories that I've heard, but I do know that it's not nice to work for someone who kind of uses his power and money to try and control you. And if lots and lots of people have gone through the same experience, I have seen a few clips of Diddy being very aggressive, but in a sort of semi-passive way. But at the end of the day, it's like, is this a joke or are you seriously like that? And I do think he has a dark side. That is what I would say. I say he has a dark side. I say he does use his power and money to manipulate people into doing things they don't want. I think he has a very nasty streak to him when it shows, and I think if the reason why he got a 4-year jail sentence is just because of treating staff members or treating people around him badly, controlling them and getting them to do things they don't want, then that makes sense. Putting him in. But I would say that the reason why he's gone to jail is because of abusive behaviour towards people around him, abusive behaviour towards colleagues. Now, if you're saying he got 5 years in jail for abusive behaviour towards staffing, people around him, and I don't know, people who he's probably coercing it into by giving deals or offers. I know that I've been in that situation. I wanted to become I wanted to get into the music industry, and there was a couple of people who helped me get songs, and some of them were good, but one or two of them literally had absolutely nothing in, like they invited me into a house and it was completely trashed out, and then they just spent like they spent half an hour going on about how amazing they were and how they've done loads of gigs and stuff like that, and then when I actually saw their house, it turned out that they were just a complete loser, and there was not even anywhere to sit because all the sofas were full of shit and full of papers and stuff, and then I realised that he was going on about exactly the same interview, and it turned out to just be like one interview that he did online, and he was just going on about how amazing he was for that. And I know that was some sort of coercive coercing into oh, I can help you this, we can do this, and yeah, after I spoke to him for half an hour on the phone, and I wasn't convinced that he could get me anywhere, but I was a little bit convinced that he had some connections. So I went to go meet him in his house, and then he spent half an hour trying to convince me how amazing he was, but I was not impressed at all by anything, and we didn't actually go anywhere. And I guess there was another one who said that he was a really big musician. When I met him, he was considerably older than what I thought he would was, and I realised his style of music was nothing like mine, so that never went anywhere. And I guess there were 2 or 3 people who kind of gave me a song, but I didn't like how I sounded in it. I liked the Wakaz guy. That was the one who gave me the I think he was the one who did I Am Life, I Am Love, that one. I think that one. I like that guy, but again, he did kind of want a relationship, but he didn't try and force it. I think that was just like him genuinely liking me, and I did like him too. But yeah, then there was another one who I think that was the slower one. But yeah, that one, he didn't force a relationship, but I felt like there might have been an uncomfortable attraction, and then I don't know who, like I'm looking at the experiences, and they're not all bad, but I know that when you're working with people and you're offering them stuff, it can turn into like wanting something else on the side of the music. Let's just say that there's a lot of people who work in the music industry, and who offer like, oh, I can do this with you, we can do this together, we can do this together, but in the back of your mind you're thinking, are you actually saying this because you want to help my career, or are you just saying this because you're hoping it will turn into a relationship? And I found with the people that I was looking for, I got a feeling that it was going to go in that direction with all of them, and 2 of them were my age. I think that the ones that actually gave me music were a similar age to me, so that would have worked. That would have been more made sense. But yeah, there was 2 or 3 that were a lot older than me, and I didn't think they had anything to offer at all. And it was a lot of, but the whole of the music industry is like this, I think. And if someone had actually power, actually had connections, actually could do stuff, I think that they could do far more with this power that they had, which could include getting a different girl every single day and do exactly the same sort of thing with that person, like say, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and in reality you just try and get sex out of them, and then so if he's been doing that with a lot of people, then that makes sense. If he's got 4 years in jail because of sort of coercing and just lots and lots of enticing, using his career, using his power to try and get them into bed or try and get them drunk, if that's the reason why he's getting 4 years in jail, then I understand it, I agree with it. But I think it should be, I think that the reason why he's in there shouldn't be for trafficking from, prostitution from one state to another. I think it should be the coercion of, in prison for coercion of multiple people using his power and status to lie to people to get whatever he wanted out of them. And I think that would be, if you see it from that perspective, then it makes sense. But if you see it from this girl offers sex for money and I can take them to another place and we can offer sex for money in a different state, that's not a crime. So how the BBC worded it, they seem to say that yes, it was for solicitation of trafficking in different states, but they then went on to the sort of abuse that he was using because of his power and wealth. And if you are in a situation where you have a lot of people around you looking up to you and you abuse your power, you're going to have a lot of people that want to send you to jail because they didn't like the sort of the lying, the manipulation, and perhaps the aggressive nature. Perhaps it did end up in a couple of fights in a few people's cases. Maybe people were left feeling pretty bad. If there's a whole group of people that generally don't like him because they don't like his attitude or things that happened, then that makes sense as to why someone would be put in prison. But it's strange how you try and put it in some sort of category. It's like you've got a bunch of boxes and you can only go to jail if you tick these boxes, and that to me just doesn't make any sense, because I think just pissing off lots and lots of people should count as, well, it should count as a reason to send someone to jail. If you've got loads of people that are saying this guy basically lied to me, used me, made loads of false promises, it's not bad. But if you've got it on a regular basis, and you've got lots of people saying that, then I think, yeah, it does justify something. But I don't know. I don't like how the media, or how I've seen it online, because from what I've seen it online, it's just a bunch of people exaggerating claims and saying that it was worse than it is, and then there's loads of people taking stories and making it so much more. And number of people that actually showed up in court was actually very few. So I think there was only like four, wasn't there like 3 or 4 victims or something like that? None of these hundreds of people that were talked about online actually ended up coming forward. So because of that, I was always very confused as to like, who are these people? And hair looks kind of shiny today. But yes, I just